Okay, she be going every single night. Day and night on my mind, pushing a cute vibe.
How's it going, everybody? This is Todd Drabo. Hope you're having another great day, and welcome back to another video. Alright, it's time for another edition of Haulin Games. In this video, I'll talk about all the games that I got into my video game collection throughout every month, and for this one, I'm going to be talking about all the games that I got for the month of May of 2022. So, once again, another lighter collection than I expected, and there were a few games that I found in here that I found really interesting, that I really wanted to get, but otherwise, there isn't really anything exciting in regards to this month's collection. It's mainly those that I just mainly got out of nowhere, and those that only just caught my eye at the really last minute. And so there's nothing really exciting about this collection, but still, it's interesting to see exactly what I got here. And so we're gonna go ahead and take a look and see what we got. We're gonna go ahead and start out with our PlayStation 1 games, and the very first game that I got for the PS1 this month is called Bogey Dead 6. Now, this is almost similar to Air Combat. You're basically attempting to save your country from communism and all that, and you're just going through missions where you're destroying the enemy planes, as well as doing some secret missions and all that stuff. Nothing really special about this. It's really just the same as Air Combat, but I am looking forward to getting to play this a little bit more when I get the chance to do so. Next couple of games really caught my eye though. The first one is called Oddworld Apes Odyssey. Now, this is another one of the early hits of the PlayStation 1, and really one that I only got intrigued into really within the last few weeks. So I'm happy to have this one, and I'm very excited to get to play this game. And the other one is called Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness. Now, this is pretty much the sequel to Pac-Man World. However, there's a lot more action in this one. There's a lot more mazes, and you're also playing as Miss Pac-Man, pretty much the other half of the Pac-Man couple. And so it's really a different turn compared to what Pac-Man World was, but it's pretty much the same as that other game though. I played a little bit about this, and there's a lot more in this one compared to Pac-Man World, and so I'm really hoping that I get to complete this game in the near future. And yeah, just happy to have this one in my collection. I'm looking forward to playing this a little bit more. A couple more games here. The first one is called Beyblade. This is based off the anime show Beyblade, in which you're playing with these tops and you're trying to beat your fellow opponents. And this is a game that I think I remember having when I was a kid, but I don't remember playing too much of. But otherwise, I'm really happy to have this in my collection again. Not much of a fan of anime games, but it's definitely an interesting one. The other one I have is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and this one is the third edition of this franchise. This is from another one of those game shows that I used to watch when I was a kid on the Game Show Network and on ABC when it regularly comes on, and I really used to love Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, especially the early version of it with the late host Regis Philbin, and God, it was a good show, and I'm really happy to have this one. The second edition of this game is the one that's really a lot more popular, so I'm hoping that I can go ahead and get that one very soon, but either way, it's good to have the third one here just in case. So yeah, other than Oddworld, there isn't really much that stood out when it comes to the PS1 side, so that's pretty much that for this brief collection here. We're going to move on now into our PlayStation 2 games, and this one for the first time in quite a while, I think it involves a lot more racing games than I have usually gotten for the PS2 in the past, but still, there are a couple of good ones here, so we'll take a look and see what we got here. The first one is not a racing game, but it is the sequel to Arena Football. This is EA Sports Arena Football Road to Glory. This is around the time that Arena Football was really at the peak of its popularity, and I do have Arena Football, which, like I said before, I have had since almost for a whole decade and a half, and so I just knew it was only a matter of time before I would finally go ahead and get the sequel. It was a brief attempt by EA Sports in the Arena Football franchise when it was very popular, but unfortunately all the problems that league would end up having lately would really force them to steer away from this. But still, if not for those problems, just imagine what EA Sports could have done with Arena Football. Very sad to see exactly what happened to the Arena Football League, and it's a shame that it doesn't exist anymore. I'm hoping it comes back soon, but either way though, it's nice to relive those days with this game along with original Arena Football, so I'm happy to have this one. Then we have a couple of open wheel racing games. The first one is called Kart Theory. Now, unlike the other kart games I got, this one is just pretty much more of an arcade style racer. It's not really that realistic, but still, it's from the IndyCar kart franchise when they were very popular back in the early days, so I'm really happy to have this one. And the other one is called Formula 1 2001. This is based off the 2001 Formula 1 World Championship. You got some great names like Michael Schumacher in this game, and really it's pretty much consists of every every single Grand Prix there is in the 2001 schedule, and every team and driver as well. And it's another one of those games in which Formula 1 was really just starting to become popular as a video game at the time. So yeah, I'm happy to have this one. I haven't really had a chance to play this yet, but this is another one that I've had on my radar for quite some time, so I'm looking forward to playing this eventually. A couple more racing games. The first one is called MX Unleashed. Now this is part of the MX franchise, and the last game before we started seeing the MX versus ATV franchise, and they're one of those real surprising picks that I got here. I really had this on my radar, but I only got this now, but it's a pretty decent one. I'm looking forward to playing this a little bit more. And the other one is called Hummer Badlands. I used to love the manufacturer Hummer when I was a kid. There were a lot of Hummers on the street, not as much now than there were back then, but still, this is pretty much a reflection of the entire manufacturer Hummer. You're racing these Hummers across a whole bunch of terrain, and we were just having a whole lot of fun, and just felt like that, you know, I really wanted to go ahead and get this game. Next one I got is called Freedom Fighters. Now, this is also another alternate history game that was based off of World War II, but unlike it in Turning Point, this one takes place decades later in 2003 after the Soviet Union wins World War II and forces all of Europe into communism, and then ultimately in 2003 they finally invade the United States and try to take New York and ultimately the rest of the country. It's pretty much very similar to Turning Point, which was released a few years later, but this one was actually very well produced by EA Games and IO Interactive. I actually played this only just recently. This is actually one of the better pickups that I've gotten this year. It's actually a really good game, and really definitely one that I personally enjoyed. It's not as good as Test Drive Eve of Destruction, but it's definitely up there as one of my best pickups this year. Finally, this is a game that I've actually wanted to get for quite a while. I had this on my radar for quite some time. This is Bully, which was released by Rockstar Games all the way back in 2006. This is almost similar to Grand Theft Auto, however, there's really no cause in this. In fact, you're playing as a school student. You play as this kid that comes out of juvie, and you go to a boarding school, and you have to really try to fight your way to becoming one of the top students in their school, and really, you know, just try to fend off of all the bullies and all the other action that goes on in this game. And this was a game that was almost similar to GTA when it comes to controversy and all that stuff, but at the same time, because this is from Rockstar Games, you can expect that this was going to be a really good game. And I already enjoy this, you know, the fact that it's also open world as well, you get to do pretty much anything you want as well. This is another one of those textbook games from Rockstar Games during that time, and I'm really looking forward to getting to play this more. I'm so happy to finally have Bully in my collection. And that'll do it for all the PS2 games that I have here. We're going to move on over to PS3 games. There's really only 3 games that I got for this collection, and none of them really stand out in my mind, unfortunately, but it's real good to just at least go ahead and take a look and see exactly what they are. The first one is called Madden NFL 09, and this was when Brett Favre was on the cover, originally as a Green Bay Packer, but obviously he worked play for the New York Jets that season, my favorite team, and unfortunately he was also bit by the Madden cover curse because he didn't have that good of a season. I mean, it started out strong, but unfortunately my Jets collapsed that season, and that was the year where I thought, by the way we were playing, we could really have a chance at winning the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, it just didn't turn out that way. As I said before, Madden was a series that I used to enjoy playing when I was a kid. Unfortunately, it's now just more repetitiveness, and unfortunately, Madden 09 is now one of those games, but still, I pretty much have almost all the games from Madden franchise for that decade, other than Madden 2001, so I'll need to get that one at some point. But either way, Madden 09 is a game I have not had yet, so it's a good thing that I at least have this in my collection. A couple more games for the PlayStation 3. This one is called Resistance 3. This completes the Resistance franchise and basically caps off this real interesting trilogy here, so I've been looking for this game for quite some time, and I'm so excited to finally have this in my collection. I'm looking forward to getting to play this once I get through with Resistance 2. The other one is called Beyond Two Souls. This is one of those decision-based games, you know, where you basically what you do decides the outcome of a particular scene and basically the entire game as well. So you have to make your decisions on the fly and very quickly before, you know, any sort of disastrous outcome occurs. And it's very similar to Detroit Become Human, along with some of those other decision-based games, and that would be released in the near future as well. It only caught my attention to this really when I was at J2 Games when I did the first of my pickups for this month, but either way though, I felt like I would get this one, and really as much as it's not as exciting as I thought it would, I am looking forward to getting to play this when I get the chance. Alright, finally we are moving on to the PlayStation 4, and there's only a couple games that I got, but both of these games were what really stand out in my mind. Again, this is not a very exciting collection by this standards, however, these 2 games for the PS4, these were the 2 that really stood out in my mind the most, and the ones that I've really had on my radar the most. I'm very happy to finally get the both of them in my collection. The first one of these is called Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, this is the sequel to the original hit Red Dead Redemption that was released back in 2010, and the game that I originally got in my big haul back in December of 2021 last year. I'm very excited to have this one. This is one of the biggest games of 2018, really. The only game that could realistically go up against Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and like I said before, it's just like the original Red Dead Redemption, this one was also a hit. Another highly anticipated game that really came through when video gaming that year needed it the most, and 2018 was a really exciting year for video gaming overall, and this was probably one of those that stood out as one of the best. I've had this on my radar for quite some time. I really still want to get to Red Dead Redemption at some point, along with Red Dead Revolver as well, which I had gotten last month, but still, it is great to finally get, at least as so far as this point, all of the games in the Red Dead collection as of this point. So I'm very happy to have Red Dead Redemption 2 here. And finally, the last one I got for this month is called Days Gone. Now, this is a game that was released back in 2019 and it's almost similar to The Last of Us. It's basically just, survival. You're trying to fend off the apocalypse and you're just pretty much trying to fend off all the zombies that are coming at you. So it's very similar to The Last of Us, where it's almost a post-apocalyptic world, sort of. I won't say it's as good as The Last of Us. I played a little bit of this already and, it's really not as exciting as The Last of Us. However, there are still a lot of good mechanics in this one and some really good techniques as well that I learned in this game, so it's definitely good. It just doesn't raise it to the level of that hit game from 2013, unfortunately, but I am happy to have this one and I am looking forward to getting to play this one more. And that'll do it for the May 2022 collection. Again, other than the two PS4 games along with Oddworld and Freedom Fighters, there isn't really any game in this particular collection that really stands out in my mind, so this is probably one of the least exciting game collections that I've gotten since I started the Haulin Games franchise last year. But still, there are definitely some good games that I got in this collection and I'm really happy that I have them here this month. Next month though is when things are going to get really interesting. I actually really to have a week off next week, and so I'm going to be doing what I did back in December and doing my weekly video game haul extravaganza. I'll be going back to all those places that I went to back in December and try to see if I can build the biggest collection haul for a monthly collection in quite some time. So I'm really excited about next month, as well as particularly this summer, because that's going to be a great opportunity to try to find a lot more games from my collection. And at some point I'm going to have to also get a game rack because I'm really running out of space for my desk as well. So I'm really excited for next month and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what I can get in my collection for the June edition. Anyways, that's going to do it for another video. I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, if you'd like to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when my latest video is released. Comment below for future suggestions for all my videos, whether it's blogs, projects, challenges, or video game content, you name it, leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to make them. As always, follow me on my social media, all the links are in the description below. That's going to do it for another midweek upload. Hope you're all having another great day. As always, I hope to see all of you again in another video very soon. So long, everybody.